learn how to create a database. For example, from video game rental system where we record information about customers and video game titles. So the first thing you want to do is start Microsoft Access. In this case, I'll be using Microsoft Access 2013. It's more or less the same thing across the different versions of Microsoft Access. I haven't used any other database management system to teach this specific part of the course. So hopefully this should give you a very good idea of what you should be doing. From this point of view, you will be creating a database file first, as opposed to typing into Microsoft Word and then creating a file afterwards and saving the file. You will be creating the file first and saving the file somewhere on your hard drive. Make sure and save it in a place that you can always find it once again. In this case, I'll be saving my database file actually in a folder that I have created on my desktop. So at this stage, the first thing that pops up in 2013 is the ability to save a new table. Now, I don't like to use this format to create my tables. I like to create my tables in Design View. So basically, I switched to Design View as displayed in the video right now, and I name my table. In this case, I've chosen to create my game table. Here in Design View, what I'm doing is basically creating different columns that the table would have. So here I simply list game column, the fields that I like to have in that table. If you look closely, you see a small key icon next to the game ID field that I have created there. The data type is of auto number. This is your primary key field. Tables by default come with the first field being the primary key field and of data type auto number. What auto number really means is that every time you create a new record, you wouldn't have to specify data for the field that is the primary key. The primary key will be automatically generated. Notice in this case, for the field that represents cost, I have chosen to use the data type currency. Remember, at this point you want to save the table. Most of the time, every time you make a change and it's sure of what you want to save it. From this view, this is basic table view. Here's where I can enter data about different game titles, well, at least some of the games that I know about. And you notice that the fields, especially for the cost field, that is represented as a currency. Also notice that the primary key of the game ID is automatically generated by the database management system. That is Access. Now, entering data into the table through the previous format could be a little bit cumbersome. It's quite easier to enter the data through a form. A form is basically a look and a feel that you can enter data via text fields, and when you enter this data, it is populated into your table, as we would see now. It's as simple as selecting the table, clicking on the Create tab, and then click on Form. A blank form is automatically created for your use. It is created in data layout view, so you can adjust and remove fields that you might want to. In this case, I have taken off the auto-generated primary key field, and from here it's just as simple as saving my form. From here you can see I can open my phone by double clicking on it, and I can navigate the records that are already stored there at the bottom. If you look at the small navigation buttons there, I can also click to add a new record to my table. In this case, I think I'm going to add Tekken 6 that was published by Namco. Most of the games usually go for about $495, but in this case, I think I'll keep it at $625 just for the sake of having the opportunity to do it. Anyway, you would now see that Tekken 6 is now populated and saved into my original game table. Alright, so from here I think what I'm going to do is create my customer table, so I can store information about the customers who actually come to my game store and rent these games. It's kind of odd calling it a game store, but as usual I'm going to click on the create tab and choose to create a new table. I'll give that table a name of customer and I'll populate with the usual fields that I want to populate with. Now it's always a good practice to name your primary key with a prefix of the table name. So in this case, I'm going to call my customer ID. My primary key is customer ID. It is not always necessary to have an auto number to record as a data type to record your primary keys. Sometimes, like for example, if you have a subject table that stores subjects that a student might do, we would have the subject data type as text and specify the key data names as such as, let's say, PHYS for physics, IT for information technology, and so on. We'll see that eventually in another class and another tutorial. But for now, I simply just want to record my customer's first name, last name, address, phone number, and also an indication if they are a special type of number called a gold member. Now, gold members are given special discounts and special benefits. But for the purposes of this tutorial, we will store the data type as yes, no, because a customer could be either a gold member or not. I also want to create a new frame for my new table to make data entry basically seamless. As usual, I remove the auto-generated primary key, so a place will actually basically get data into the tables quite easily. I create some information about customers. The most important part is actually come up now. It's all about how to link customer and game information to capture when someone actually when someone rents a particular video game. Alright, from here we demonstrate how to add a new field to our table. To add a new field to our table is simply open it up in design view, add it at the end, or you can add it at the middle of all of the fields. In this case, I add the field to represent the amount of copies we have for a particular video game in our store. You would also notice that my game form would not be updated with this new field that we have added. So to solve this problem, I simply delete my old game form. I click on game, go to my create tab, and choose form. So at this stage, I'll create my table to link customer and game information to represent the rental of a particular game. I'll accomplish this by creating a new table and sort of linking them by using foreign key fields. So a good convention when you bridge or link tables together is to name them after the original two table names. This is the I call this table customer game. In this case, the ID is going to be a composite primary key. I'm going to look up the customer ID from the customer table. First set it to the data type of the customer ID in the customer table. So this shouldn't be auto number at this moment. It should change to number, and then we start using the lookup wizard. You'd see that if you try using lookup wizard in its current state, it would not work with the auto number. I need to set the primary key as the same data type as the customer ID key. Then choose lookup wizard. Now I want to look up the customer table. I choose the fields I'd like to display. In this case, I'd like to display the customer ID, last name, and the first name. I also want to sort it in ascending order by last name. All of this will get into context when you see the finished lookup wizard. You must save your table at the end of creating a lookup wizard. We do the same thing for game ID. Game ID would be looked up from the game table. So first we set the data type of game ID, then we use the lookup wizard. Choose table game, and in this case I think I wanted to display the game ID and the title. Sort it in ascending order by title. And there you have it. One of the things I need to do is actually make the customer game table have a composite primary key. This is just a demonstration. Oh, sorry. This is where I make the composite primary key. What you do, you select the two fields at the same time by using the control key. Control click and right click and choose primary key. Now if you look at, that's the table view, basic table view. Now we get a drop down where we can link customer to a particular game and particular duties. Thus we have achieved capturing game rental information. In a similar manner, we can create a data entry form, easy entry of data about game rentals. So we just added some records to the customer game table. I mean, you could change the name in something that's more meaningful to you, but this is the best convention. This is a best practice that I actually use in terms of table naming. The form could have been named something else, probably rentals. So at this point, we're going to talk about relationships. Relationships represent the mapping between tables by use of foreign keys. For example, the game ID is a foreign key because it is a primary key in another table, the game table. Usually we edit our relationships to enforce referential integrity. What this really means is that if we delete a particular game from our database, then all customer game records associated with that deletion will also be deleted. There you have it, folks, a many-to-many relationship. Alright, from here we're going to look at creating a report. A report is just a structured way to show the data that you have stored in the tables, and it allows for nice functions such as grouping and presentation. So in this case, you just select the fields that you want to show from the individual tables. In this case, I want to group rentals, show the rentals from a particular game and who has that game and the due date. I want to group it by game, sort it by due date. You open the report in layout view. Those hashes means that there is no effective. It is not of an effective width to display data. Data can be displayed in that small space. So I'm just going to open the layout view and move a few items around. See? There you have it. We're just about done. We have our game rental report. An interesting point to note is that if we add data to the database, during new game rentals or other things like that, this report is dynamically updated. So we're going to try to add some data to represent this change in the dynamically generated reports. This is our report before we add data. Add some new games. Add a few rentals. And if you want to see that we have our games, our report is grouped by games, and we can see the rentals for each game. Thanks for your time.